Darth Vader, Dark Lord of the Sith, was not only extremely skilled in combat and manipulation, but also in intense and deadly methods of torture. Using the Force, Vader could sense exactly where a subject's limit was, and bring them to that point where all they longed for was death. But still, Vader would not oblige them until what he needed done was done. As well as rumors and to some legends of Vader's exploits during combat echoing across the stars, so did the torture methods and devices of the Imperial Enforcer. After becoming a Sith Lord, Vader became quite familiar with torture almost immediately. For the first few years of the Empire, Vader could go periods of several days where most of his time was filled with torturing Jedi and Jedi sympathizers, as his #1 priority was to eradicate the Order which he had once served. Even as a Jedi, Vader employed basic torture methods, usually based off of his signature ability of Force Choke. One of the earliest moments when Vader, then Anakin, gave into torture was when he was attempting to save his Jedi Padawan from brainworms, flinging the separatist Poggle the Lesser across an interrogation room and choking him until he revealed the information needed. When Palpatine rose as the Emperor, previously outlawed torture and interrogation droids were ordered by the thousands, and Vader was more than happy to sit by as the droids did their work, occasionally stepping in to attempt to truly break a subject. In most cases, Vader would strap a subject upright, not allowing them to sit or rest at any time. Interestingly though, Vader would seldom lie to his subjects, promising them only death if they complied with his wishes. In one rare case, Vader actually promised a dark acolyte who was secretly Palpatine's apprentice freedom if he only betrayed his master. However, this was exceedingly uncommon, and was only done after the acolyte had refused to reveal any information to Vader for months, despite being tortured daily by the Sith Lord. When Vader tortured Leia on the first Death Star, she commented on the immense pain, saying, "I didn't think such pain existed in any universe." During Leia's interrogation, she was injected with an experimental serum that made her more open to suggestion. In addition to this, Vader used his own Force-based methods of torture to cause the princess intense pain, and even cause her to experience visions, one in which she was burned alive. On a separate occasion, in Legends, Vader again tortured Leia, this time activating his lightsaber and slashing at the princess, only barely cutting at her skin. On Bespin, Vader tortured the smuggler-turned-rebel Han Solo as a means for Vader's own son Luke Skywalker to feel Solo's pain through the Force and be drawn out of hiding. This is the reason Han was never asked any questions during his torture, as the purpose was not to extract information from Solo, but to capture Luke. During the torture session, initially Han was sarcastic and defiant to the Dark Lord, until Vader said, "For every insult, you will scream a dozen times," a promise he did indeed keep. Although not much torture equipment was on hand, Vader improvised and used a machine on Cloud City known as the Scan Grid, which was designed to analyze and distinguish between metals via electricity. Vader would later go on to use the Scan Grid again on Leia, as the electrical discharges caused both Han and Leia extreme pain. Although not often, Vader implemented a torture method referred to as the burning, where a blaster would be placed on the lowest intensity setting and would then be repeatedly fired at a subject. Although at first non-lethal, the pain was intense, as the wounds would not fully cauterize as opposed to regular blaster bolts, resulting in extremely painful marks and in some cases blowing limbs off entirely. One of Vader's favorite methods of torture was shocker sticks, as during the Clone Wars he himself had been on the receiving end on multiple occasions and had learned how effective they could be. Although not shown in canon, in Legends, Vader used the dark side ability of Mind Shard, where he would attempt to enter a subject's mind and break them from within. This method was usually used by Vader once the subject had been through at the very least several days of torture. Once entering the mind, Vader would use the Force to literally break apart the very consciousness and being of a person, in very extreme cases driving them insane almost immediately. The dark truth was, in most cases, those that were tortured by Darth Vader were never intended to survive their captivity. One of Vader's most intense and commonly used ways of torture was via Force Choke, only instead of choking a subject once, Vader, as stated earlier, would sense their breaking point, repeatedly choking them to the point of passing out, and then releasing them, only to repeat the process all over again. The Sith Lord would also make good use of specially designed torture cells, which were usually either extremely hot or extremely cold. The cells would often be kept in the pitch black or painted with blaring light. Once an individual was in a cell, they could expect hours, days, or even weeks of isolation, only comforted by the occasional blaring noise designed to keep subjects from sleeping. Although rarely implemented, Vader was also aware carbon freezing could be used for torture, as it held a subject completely still and trapped them with them in still some regard conscious. It is likely Vader planned some form of mental probing of his son Luke if he had succeeded in capturing him on Cloud City. Vader also frequently utilized droids during torture sessions. Of all the torture droids, the IT-0 units were Vader's favorite, as they were believed to have been originally developed by the ancient Sith Empire. This is in fact the same droid type Vader would use on Leia and several of his former Jedi brethren. The droid was designed to seek out weaknesses and pain in a subject's body, but not to be lethal. The droid was meant to cause as much pain with as little damage as possible. On several cases, Vader had prisoners confessing to crimes and revealing information as soon as they saw the droid. The IT-0 units were usually equipped with acid jets, searing flesh pincers, laser scalpels, power shears, grasping claws, sonic torture devices, flesh peelers, joint cripplers, bone fragmenters, electroshock nerve probes, and needles. So those were some of many of Darth Vader's torture methods, known throughout the galaxy for his horrid talent and only ranked second to the terrors and ability his own master Palpatine had with torture. What may have made Vader such an effective tormentor was the fact that he knows what true pain is, living through it every day and never being free from its grasp. In a very twisted way, when Vader was torturing one of his many victims, he felt as though another was feeling what he did every second of every day. I know this is one of my darker videos, but what do you guys think about this? What do you think about Vader and his many torture methods? Which of the methods do you find to be the most interesting, and out of all of them, which one would you not have to endure? If you enjoyed the video and feel it deserves it, I would really appreciate it if you could leave a like, as it helps the channel out a great deal. If you haven't already, maybe consider subscribing to ensure you stay up to date with everything Star Wars related. If you have any lore topics or questions, feel free to leave them in the comments, or you could always tweet them at me at Stupendous on Twitter. Thanks so much for watching, may the Force be with you, and have a great day.